This is Darius Twin for the Super Nintendo from 1991. I was pretty excited when I found this game because I'm a huge fan of Darius Gaiden, which is a Sega Saturn release, also from Taito. After spending some time with Darius Twin, I have to admit Darius Gaiden blows this game away completely, but Darius Twin still has some gameplay that many of you may enjoy. It's an interesting side-scrolling spaceship shooter, and then it looks somewhat bland, but the enemies move extremely quickly and come at you from all directions. That makes the game challenging, but the power-ups that stay with you, even if you get destroyed, are absolutely ridiculous. You can basically cover the screen with your primary and secondary weapons, so it's the kind of game where you don't really want to move around all that much. Like most shooters, the first couple end bosses are fairly easy, then they do get far more challenging. You have to memorize some attack patterns. You can play this game with a friend, 2-player, 2 spaceships on screen at the same time. It's a fun game, totally surpassed in every way by Darius Gaiden, which came out several years later. The presentation, the music, something about this reminds me a lot of Aeroflash on the Sega Genesis. But Aeroflash has a bit more style to it, especially in the music. The music in Aeroflash is really good. The Darius Twin music is not terribly exciting. I think the problem is that I spent far more time playing Darius Gaiden, so it's just hard to go backwards to an earlier game in the Darius series. Oh look, the shark is shooting smaller sharks at me. That's adorable. It's like he's throwing his kids my way. I'm terribly sorry about exploding your children, but you did shoot them at me. You should have just sent them to school. Which, because they're fish, has a double meaning I just thought of, and that's not that exciting. Never mind. I did school that fish, though. The controls are fast, responsive, and you hold down 2 of the Super Nintendo buttons and just fire and bomb at the same time the entire game. You don't have continues, but you can stack your player lives before you begin. That's what I've done here, just because I want to play through the game, see where it goes. It has that neat feature that you also see in Darius Gaiden, where you can choose your own path through the game, sort of, with limitations. It's like Outrun. You get a lot of power-ups when you're playing the game, and that comes in handy, especially the shield, which was working really well until I flew into one of the end bosses, I think at the end of this level. I have the first 3 levels memorized at this point, and eventually we'll just get the rest of the game. But I just don't find this one terribly interesting. It's not one of my favorites. Now the good news is if you have a Super Nintendo or one of the new consoles that can play Super Nintendo games, one of the remake retro consoles, Darius Twin will not cost you very much at all. It's extremely easy to find, and as I said, you can play it with a friend, which is always nice. And there is something to be said for fighting giant lobsters with laser beams. There's just not enough of them in video games, or anywhere else for that matter. Why should other things like spaceships and robots have laser beams, but giant lobsters are frequently denied them? I don't think that's right. This game is about laser beams for all sea creatures. See, this is the first time I took this path. I should have just been hovering above that guy the whole time shooting with my pink thing. That seemed to work better than dodging the bullets. The one octopus earlier and this guy took a lot of lives, but next time I play the game I should be able to clear right through them. The one cool feature about these games I do like is the choosing your own path through the game, because that gives you some different replay options. You can find levels that work for you where you can score the most points or get through them without getting killed. Darius Twin for the Super Nintendo. You won't find this on Genesis. give it a play. And if you like this game, you may want to check out Arrow Flash, and that is a Genesis game that you won't find on Super Nintendo. It's a win-win situation because there's spaceships and they blow things up. Always good.